Joe Burrow has finally beat those Brownies. We'll talk about that next, coming up on the Wincinnati Podcast.
Yes. Hello, world. We got a special show as always. TJ Houshmandzada, Jimmy Chase, Coach Jimmy Burrow.
Time to be a Bengals
How do you
fan.
balance being a professional athlete and family obligation?
These are top 5 Bengals of all time.
All time?
Yeah.
Shock the world.
Welcome to the Wincinnati Podcast. I'm your host, Ace Boogie. He's my co-host, Zim. Zim, say what's up.
Hello, everybody. I'm Zim. I'm back.
It's been a lot of stuff trending on Twitter today, bro. It's Free Zim has been trending on Twitter. Talk to us about, how that situation has been going and how you feel about Who They Nation holding you down, because we've been trying to hold you down on these Twitter streets.
I was going to say this. I'm going to tell you everything. Like, people was hitting me all day. It's like, bro, you good? Da-da-da. I'm like, hey, look, trust me. As long as the Bengals is winning, I am always good. Like, that's, I feel like the Twitter account itself is for the Bengals. And just like the Instagram account, it's an archive of all of our, like, great memories. That's why I always, like, retweet, like, some of the same stuff, some of the same things. So I thought it was super dope that people were saying Free Zim, keep the Free Zim joints going. I'm working on some stuff. We're going to try to get the account back. Who knows? But I will say I do appreciate that. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if I get the account or not. Like, I want everybody to understand that I told y'all when the season started, we're the villains now. There's a lot of people that just don't want the Bengals to win. They don't want people that are intelligent. They don't want the education. They don't want the knowledge. And they definitely don't want to talk about the Browns getting flushed down on Sunday. They made it very clear that they wanted to distract y'all from that. And that's why I want to make sure on this show and moving forward, keep the Free Zim stuff going, but we got to keep our foot on their neck, because I promise you, they want to change the conversation to something about me when we know that the conversation is the Bengals and us winning a lot of football games.
Facts. That's big facts. Well, today's show, we're going to talk about the Bengals flushing those Browns down the toilet. We'll also talk about some of the fallout that happened from Sunday with some of the injury concerns. Trey Hendrickson, there were some major ones in that, so we'll get into that as well. And then we'll talk about the upcoming matchup between the new GOAT and the old GOAT, Tom Brady, coming up on the Wincinnati Podcast.
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
All right, Zim. The Cincinnati Bengals defeated the Cleveland Browns 23-10. There were some injuries in this game. Cam Taylor had a breakout game. What were your thoughts in dissecting this matchup that you talked about with Joe Burrow getting his first win against the Cleveland Browns?
Man, it's so much to talk about. I have to start off with DJ Reader. And another person that kind of gets lost in the sauce too, that was cooking, was BJ Hill. If you have access to film review, guys like we know our guy Blake Parker, Parker, all these guys that we know that do evaluate film, the Sands of the world, make sure y'all get a good look. And Ryan, who's in the back, doing. But I'm telling you, man.
Did you hear about the quote from DJ Reader? Ryan put this in here about him going against Nick Chubb. I'm going to read it real quick and let you respond. DJ Reader on Nick Chubb. It feels like I wrestle with my son. When I'm flush and he's flush and he's clear and I'm clear, he thinks he's going to run me over. That shit is not happening. That's dead.
Hey, bro. I told y'all a couple of weeks ago, I haven't worn it yet. I had to go get a DJ Reader jersey. I'm still looking for a Vapor official Karras one. But I'm telling you, he's officially becoming like getting in that Geno Atkins territory real quick, bro. And I ain't trying to say nothing to take away from Geno. I'm just talking about like the presence, what he brings to this defense. I said it before the season. I said it all season, even when he was gone. I didn't want to harp on it too much when he was gone, but he is the Joe Burrow of this defense, bro. You cannot run on this defense with him in the lineup, bro. Last year, you remember, that was one of the things I used to hit on there. I was like, bro, there's only been two 100-yard rushers. It was Nick Chubb with the big 75-yard run, And then it was also Aaron Jones early in the season. Outside of that, there were no 100-yard rushers last year. Moving forward to this season, when he plays, opponents only run for 2.4 yards a carry. This is textbook tape. Like, for me, I enjoy watching it so much. From week 1 and on, I enjoy watching what we do up front more than anything, because it's just like the textbook stuff that I never thought, I never learned these type of things. Like me playing cornerback when I play, like you're watching how to take on double team. I take the information from him when people try to run duos on him and say, like, this is the way you shed it. And then some of it is just so unreal, but it's from a position, a nose tackle, that's not really glorified, and you don't get a lot of sacks. So a lot of people just aren't hip to him. But I'm going to tell you right now, this is a clinic. He was eating. BJ Hill was eating. I thought that Hendrickson had some really impressive rushes as well, too. The back end on the defense, Eli Apple, I thought played one of his better games. I thought he played a really good game, and that wasn't getting talked about enough. If y'all follow the Wincinnati Pod Twitter account, I actually had a graphic over Eli Apple's last game. So we do a graphic to see exactly how well he's been playing. And as you talked about, Cam Taylor-Britt stepped up like probably in the biggest moments, because that game is literally one of those games that go down to the wire in AFC North fashion if Cam Taylor doesn't make those stops. Now, early in the game, I will tell you this, though. He did give up a good amount of yards early in the game, and it's something I watched on film that I think he could kind of correct at least 2 of them. Just with his hips, he went inside, and the guy took him and drug him and got him like slightly spinned around or whatever. So he has some work. It's a rookie. My expectations are still really high because it's a championship level football team. I thought Pratt had a really, really good game. Logan Wilson is in on tackle, had more tackles in this game than any game he's ever had in his career with 17. I think he had like 14 solos. Like, that's insane.
Yeah,
one of my biggest birthday games ever was he played the Eagles and he had like 13, 14 tackles. And it's incredible. The Logan Wilson one, to be fair, is not as incredible in this one because of how stout the front is, but he was there and he diagnosed and he read everything accordingly. I know I talked a lot of defense just now, but I swear they were so good. And I know, all of the amigos wasn't there, and I thought Joe was a little shaky. And then I credited him. He bounced back out of it. The throw he threw to Jamar Chase was amazing. But ultimately, bro, the defense played so well that I found myself watching a lot of that tape more so than the offensive tape. I thought the offense played a clean game. You had the one, tip turnover, but outside of that, I felt like it was a clean game. Special teams was a little rough though, but
I think you hit most of everything on the head. Like you said, DJ Reader. This was like I said this on AFC North Talk. It was like rewatching the Titans game. Like every time this man Nick Chubb got to the line of scrimmage, here comes DJ Reader. Like DJ Reader was harassing him every single day, and that was something that we said, leading up to the game. In this game, DJ Reader being back is major, right? We talked about that. Like, there's going to be a difference between having DJ Reader on the field and off. Before this game, I think the splits were that when DJ Reader is on the field, the Bengals defense is the number 1 run defense in the NFL. I think it's been updated to number 2. But that team is just completely different with him on the field. You talk about Logan Wilson. He was just all over the place. I had to look at it twice at halftime because I looked at it and I was like, Logan Wilson, 11 tackles. Like, this is a little crazy. Like you said, finishes with 17. And it's so ironic because one of the big debates that we had in the offseason, right? Best linebacker in the North, Logan Wilson versus JOK. And Logan Wilson comes into this game and just goes absolutely bananas. Joe, without his 3 top receivers is insane, bro. Like TT, TI, like hitting these dudes from all cylinders with a good secondary that had, the 3 corners still there. They were even doubling Chase at points. Chase just went Super Saiyan 3, I say, in this game. I'd probably say the Ultra Instinct is what he did to the Ravens, but he clearly was out for it being on site in this game, especially with the numbers that he put up. That touchdown that Joe threw to him at the beginning of the game that he wasn't even expecting, in that tight window between Denzel Ward and the safety was insane, bro. Like, what they're doing right now on offense is just crazy. What he did to Denzel Ward in that game, it was on site. Denzel Ward was struggling coming into this game. He continued to struggle. He didn't back up any of that talk that he was pretty much doing in the offseason on social media, even though he gave Denzel his respect. He cooked him in this game. He cooked a lot of those. Taylor Britt. There were just so many guys that you could look at in this game. And you can't even forget about the ground game as well, right? Samaje Perine gets a much-needed touchdown early in that game. Then you also see Joe Mixon do his thing, ran for, I believe, 6.8 yards per carry. It was pretty good in this game. They shut down Kareem Hunt, 1.5 yards per carry. They shut down Nick Chubb, 2.4 per carry. They just did what Amari Cooper, he was on the island. They did everything they needed to do, I feel like, in this game. And Njoku, I don't believe, scored for him either, right? So I think they had the perfect recipe. And even when you look at the offensive line, Myles Garrett was, for the most part, held in check. Like, you're going to see the 2 sacks in the box score. You got to remember that the second sack was on Jamar Chase, where he tried to act like he was going to throw a pass on that trick play. So he ends up getting hit by Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett didn't have a sack in the first half. He got one in the second half. Look at
this first little 1-2, bro.
Nasty. This, and I knew that they were going to break one because this Browns run defense, that's what they normally look like. You see this? This is what they normally look like.
That first little
run defense, not tackling, chasing guys. I'm almost surprised he didn't bust that for a TD. That was nasty. And that was the
he has another one. I might post it to Wincinnati tonight. He got another one low key. It's like a 6-7 yard run. Mm-hmm. When you look at this joint, if he does not get tripped up, bro, it's to the house. And that's what I was telling everybody when he wasn't there. It's like, bro, Perine solid. Perine going to make sure he hits the holes properly, and I love him to death. But the big plays, it's a reason why Joe didn't get 1,000 every year, bro.
What do you think about the flea flicker, bro? Because I think that one was nasty. That's
one of the greatest flea flickers ever ran, bro.
It was perfectly executed, bro. It was crazy.
They must have saw something on tape. You know, when you're running the football that well, you know, somebody said 22 got smoked, 22 got rocked out the screen. When you're watching stuff, when you're watching, you know, maybe the Bengals are watching this iPad on, you know, in the side, and when you're running that good, I think everybody says, well, let's, like, when you see this, let's commit to the run, you know, and when you do that, it's a price to pay for that sometimes, and the Bengals made them pay. And I think if you look at too, they're probably looking at, oh, well, that's true. You know, like if that's Jamar Chase right there in that spot, you know, coordinator's telling you don't take your eyes off that guy. You feel me? So it's just probably different. Perfect call, perfect celebration, brings the Irish, you know,
I didn't even peep that he did that, bro.
Yeah. He took him back to Scotland or his Irish, you know, heritage or whatever, and he gave it to him. And you know, shout out to Ocho. Shout out to Ocho. You know, he gave him the Irish. You know, I don't even know the proper name for it, but he gave him the Irish like feet work and or footwork.
How do you feel about T.I. like carving out? Like, I remember him being a preseason hero, but now this dude is like. A lot of people who talked about Edelman and what Brady used to do, you know, with those random guys. I think Trenton Irwin isn't just a random guy. Like, we've seen flashes from him before, but now it's in a role where when his number is called, this dude has made plays. What can you say about the evolution of T.I.? Because when we seen him with that bucket hat, it's like the bucket hat is still on while he's out there.
You know, the crazy thing about him and TT, you could put them both out wide. And I know TT's a little shorter, so people look at them in the Edelman, Cole Beasley mode and all these guys like that. But just because they're white guys don't mean that they're just straight, they're slot wide receivers. Like when T. Higgins goes out, T.I. is on, T.I. is on the outside. You know what I'm saying? So he's offering them from a route perspective. He might not run a blazing 4.4, you know, 4.3 speed, but he ain't slow, bro. He's not a 4.5 guy. I think he's probably like a high 4.49 or something like that. Maybe 4.5 close with. But my point is, he's not like just some slow twitchy guy that you could just put in the slot. T.I. is not small. TT is small, but I think
TT
both
is.
of them. I mean, talk about the TT catch on the sideline. I
That
went back.
should have been inbound.
I think that joint and the Jamar Chase both were catches, bro. The TT joint, watching the all 22, the angle is bad from the sideline angle, and I posted that on my Zim account before we're saying. But I posted that, but the angle is kind of far. But you could tell, bro, like both feet tapping, he's out of there. I thought that was good, and I don't know. I think they're both. This is the one thing I will say: they're both dependable. Are they amazing wide receivers? No, but they're both dependable, and they know where they got to be. They understand how to run their routes out of the slot or out wide, and you don't have to ask those questions. And so, from a coach's standpoint, there's value into that. There's value into you guys coming and seeing us every time, every Wednesday. Every Tuesday at 7:30. It's just dependable, and you know that you can rely on us, and I just think that that's very valuable.
We had a space, I think that was Monday. I got a little on a tangent because I was upset about Joey B and the MVP, especially with this performance, right? Because he comes into this game, and if you didn't watch the full game, which all of you diehard Bengals fans, we know that you did, but in case you didn't, he didn't have Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins like at all in this game. Like some people might look back and be like, all right, Tyler Boyd probably started this game, then left. Like, no, he didn't have those guys at all. He doesn't have a Hayden Hurst, right? So you're talking about a guy that's coming in without his weapons, and I don't understand why he's not getting the notoriety of some of these other guys. Not saying that he's not getting the attention, but to come into this game, a game against a team that you've never beat with all of your weapons gone. Like we're talking about 3 weapons going. Your starting tight end, your 2 starting receivers, your slot receiver, and your other outside receiver other than Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase, even though he's amazing, coming back off of an injury, he's only played 1 game and still comes out and cooks. Talk about like the evolution of Shiesty this season from what we've seen with him having guys in and out of the lineup and why that should be, I guess, noted a little more.
I just feel like he's killed every narrative that they had against him, prior to this. And it's so crazy that he's the most successful college quarterback, or that at least that one season. And I mean, even in high school, he's always been a champion. So it's just like, I don't understand why people, well, I kind of do, he wears black and orange. So, for whatever reason, they just doubt him. And I don't get it, man. Like for me, him coming back off the injury that he suffered was enough for a lot of people going to a Super Bowl, but I guess it wasn't enough for everybody. But after the surgery this season, he started off a little rough, but then, he comes back, bouncing back since week 2, and he's been on fire, bro. We won 9 out of the last 11 games. You had Joe Mixon out for 2 of those games. You had Jamar Chase out for 4 of those games. You've now had T. Higgins out for 3 of those games. You now had Hayden Hurst out of game. You had your best player on defense and DJ Reader out of the game. You had Eli Apple out of the game. Like you lost your starting cornerback, and yet the Bengals have won 9 out of 11. So when other teams tell us about injuries and stuff like that, I tell them, like, I don't feel no type of way, bro. Like, you have to step up. It's going to be next man up. And the Bengals are winning a lot of these games convincingly. And it's not like they're searching for something. I think they know who they are. I always said they're a balanced attack. I think this week we had 33 passes and 32 runs. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody, and we did the same. Last week it was 30 when we played the Chiefs, 32 passes, 32 runs. That's what makes them special. That's why it was never like a mixer's got to be number 1, number 2. Like everything is balanced, and that's the reason why sometimes y'all ever notice we play somebody and they be like, Jamar Chase ain't really do nothing. I'll be like, yeah, but T. Higgins gave you 100 something. I remember in the Jets game, and in the Dolphins game, they said the same thing. I was like, yeah, T. Higgins went crazy. So it's like you never really know like who's going to give you the work. And throughout the whole season, you'll see all the guys get their number. Before Hayden Hurst went out, did y'all know that he was 5th for tight ends and tight end receptions at 48? There was only 4 guys in front of him before that game. And, and as Bengals fans, you're not thinking like, man, he going to go crazy. Like he been going crazy. But he's at the top of the league on the strength of he's always going to see single coverage. And I mean, he's dope, bro. Like in the squad is dope, bro. They got some real good depth. So it is what it is.
For sure, for sure. We're gonna get to some of these fan questions. We got some from y'all. Appreciate the support. 142 people watching live. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button. We appreciate y'all. Oh, this is our girl Kaylee here. She says, "Why do you think we stuck with Michael Thomas so long until we finally called Ti and TT up?" What you thinking, Zim?
I just think Zach is a loyal guy. He had the connection with him with Mike Thomas from the Rams, and he stuck by that. I think even the players that I know believed in Mike Thomas. Bryce got too light for bro, and then once they figured out, credit to Zach and company, they made the move.
Facts for sure. I think
free Timothy.
I'm honestly this Ti thing, the way that he came out, a lot of people are looking at it as why wasn't Ti ahead of him? If you remember, Ti actually had some rare struggles during the preseason, right? He had like some drops in some games, so I think that put him behind the 8 ball. But I think it was just a matter of, all right, when the chips are down, let's put TT and Ti in, and maybe Michael Thomas. I'm not saying this from inside information or talking to anybody. Maybe Michael Thomas looked good in practice, and then in the game, Ti and TT looked better. But I think it was pretty evident as soon as they saw that, they pulled Mike Thomas up out of there. And I think, like you said, he was a team guy. You know, speaking to the wide receiver coach last year, he talked about him kind of being the guy that tried to get those guys to do things together. But they had to go with the guys that were producing. So I think that's one of the reasons. Another question here from Jason Love. Do we activate Tyron Johnson? I think this could be the week, especially with you having T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd potentially out. This is a dude that's a speed demon. I know Zim told me a lot about him. We talked to your boy that's a Chargers fan in Spaces. He had great things to say about him.
Hey, bro, that's crazy. You just gave Big Back Whack a shout out.
Big Back Whack. We had to get that scouting report. He said he told us to release him back. So that tells me that this Tyron Johnson kid must be pretty good. Do you think Tyron Johnson has a role going forward, especially with like the injuries kind of lingering?
Yeah, I think also he opens up a lot of different things in this offense that, you know, I mean, if T. Higgins is there, then, you know, he probably wouldn't even get activated. But if it came down to Kwame Lassiter or Tyron Johnson, I'm going to go Tyron just from, you know, like a personnel standpoint. I know I can move the safeties with him. And if that's the case, then I know I get the favorable matchups that I want with Jamar Chase. And that's all it's really about. And with that type of speed, you got to respect it, bro. Like, I 100% think they should activate him if Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins can't play.
We got a super chat here from Nandon. Super chats are open. That guarantees your comment or question to be shown and read. We appreciate that. Nandon for 279 says, does Gunter get activated or will Osai play Zim? I'm going to toss that to you.
Osai's going to play for sure. Gunter, I think, will be the next man out. Also, I'm going to tell you another guy. It's Game One's favorite player, Raymond III. He did really good in preseason or whatever. Another guy that has some 3-tech ability.
Got you.
That's the other guy that will come off the bench. But Gunther, I know that he's been available. I thought the last couple of weeks. Ryan could probably Raymond Johnson. There we go. Game on. I mean, Ryan could probably correct me on this, but I do think that he's just a healthy scratch the last 2 weeks. I do believe if Trey Hendrickson does, if y'all don't know why we're asking this, Trey Hendrickson has the wrist fracture. I don't know the extent to the injury. I haven't seen more information on it. I did see an article about an athletic that has some encouraging stuff behind it in regards to, you know, the wrist injury itself. So, but I don't be able to play this upcoming Sunday. And if that's the case, then I think you get a little. What do you think? I know Osai's got to play.
Well, it appears our great producer Ryan says that Zach said that he's not ruled Trey out for Sunday yet. I do know that they finally start practice tomorrow, so we'll have to see. Gunter, I could see him getting activated. We got to see what he can do. Obviously, you know, he's not Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson is like top 5 in pressures But I actually would like to see this as a moment where these guys step up and show what we have outside of Trey Hendrickson. I think we've seen Osai flash at times. We've seen Hubbard hold it down on his side, but we haven't had a consistent pass rush, I think, this season where we're seeing something that mirrored last year, right, where they were just all over the backfield. So it'll be interesting to see how those things play out. But there was another
Gunter got that motor, boy.
Kind of lingering around Jermaine Pratt. I know a lot of people read into the tweets. They read into, his social media, scrubbing the Bengals stuff off of there. It seems like he's unhappy with his role or the team. I mean, for me, I kind of get it because as a player, you want to play on every down. Everybody wants to play on every down. I think so. I don't think that there's anything wrong there. What do you think about this? We were just singing his praises last week. Logan Wilson seemed to be in there. It seemed to be a situation where they were probably expecting them to pass a little bit more, wanted to put some more DBs on the field. What are your thoughts about Jermaine Pratt and his comments or the perception that he's unhappy with the role of the team?
I think we looked at the splits, and throughout the season, he probably played like 30% of the snaps. But the crazy thing on third down, but the crazy thing is on this pass, he played at over half of the snaps on third down. But from a cover standpoint and Lou's scheme, I just think that, Lou draws it up for more DBs to come out there on those third downs, or you might have a King Davis Gaither too. Like he played some big snaps too, I thought, on Sunday too. So it is kind of weird. I took it as this, and I think Lou comes out, and I'm going to paraphrase, but he said, hey, look, Jermaine Pratt is not a problem or anything that I have a problem with. So I want everybody to be clear that Lou did respond to that. But I took it as when he said that tweet, he did keep a lot of Bengals stuff on his Instagram, like the 3 pictures. Like if you go click them, they are Bengals like highlights of currently what's going on. I do think the timing is poor. I do think he's frustrated with something. I'm pretty sure, like with just the third down ability. The money part of it, I know a lot of people was talking about like, man, he should be on. So I took it as like when all the dudes, like we had Cheeto on us on our pod. When they say money on the flow, it's like causing turnovers, making big plays on third down. So when he said this, man, it's a lot of money out there that I need to get. I took it as like it could be he was talking about third downs. Even still, I think the timing of it is off. But these guys ain't perfect, man. I know for me, I know if I played, I would be saying anything. so like if people had to tweet, I don't know if he had a tweet. It's not like he went on Twitter and was like, bro, I can't stand Lou. Like it's a sentence of like, bro, I need to be out there on third down. It's a lot of money on the table. Where his exact words, like it's not what you want to hear, but you can't control what everybody says. I think the team probably talked to him. And I think they'll be all right. And even if they ain't all right, he's gonna have to finish out the season. And at the same time, he's got to put all good things on tape. So let's ball out and let's go get this chip.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's been putting good things on the field all this season. But that's one of the things I feel like that just comes with the territory of this team, right? You talk about guys like the Mike Hiltons and the Dax Hills, who's not even getting anywhere close to 30% of being on the field for third down. That's got to be frustrating for him. So, there's a lot of guys that aren't always going to be on the field. Mike Hilton, he's not always going to be on the field. There's going to be other guys that don't get that time. I understand why he wants to be on the field because he can be a difference maker. But I'm pretty sure, like, once the playoffs and stuff like that roll around, they'll get him in for those opportune situations. So, like you said, the main object is a bowl. And Jermaine Pratt, he's having a good season. He's got a lot of good film on, or a lot of good tape in his repertoire for this year. So we'll see what happens.
I will argue he's defensive player for the Bengals of the year. He leads the team in tackles. I mean, big play after big play. Like he's one of the best players on. I know he's probably looking at himself in a different light. Like, bro, I'm one of them guys for real. So like he wants to be out there. What you want him to say? Like, oh man, I'm so glad they don't put me out on third downs. like I don't know. I'm a dog,
sure.
Bro.
Before we go to our friends at Midwest Best Barbecue, we got a couple super chats from our man Manny Maxwell. Who will be the scariest threat to the Bengals in the division moving forward?
That's a tricky question, bro.
I've personally said that is the Browns just because the way that I see things playing out in Baltimore, I don't personally, and I can't speak on it, but I'm just personally getting the vibe that Lamar isn't going to be there anymore. Then you got Kenny Pickett. I'm not really, worried about him too much. I don't know if they're scary. Because you got Joe Burrow. But if you're talking about a threat to the Bengals, I would say probably the Browns. But I don't think that they're scared to take on the Browns. What's your thought on the threat?
They're not scared of anything. I honestly, I don't say this from a place of arrogance, but the Bengals control what they want to control. If they're healthy, none of those teams in the AFC North are scary to them based on the core foundation. Now, the Browns, I will go out on a limb, and I know a lot of people don't like the Booty Bandit that much, but I will say that he is the second best quarterback in the AFC North, right? I'll go out on a limb and I'll say that. I know early on it doesn't look that way. But the only thing is this. If you're telling me that the claim to fame is the offensive line, and that's the strength of their team is what most people would say, Conklin is probably done after his injury or whatever. He hasn't looked the same. Jedrick Wills or whatever his name is hasn't been looking like he's supposed to either. Then you're talking about a center now coming off off the injury. They're on their third center. So to me, that will be the core of their team. Then you talk about a Kareem Hunt that doesn't want to be there. That's going to be gone. You got Denzel Ward, who was thought to be the foundational piece at cornerback. You look at him. He's had all those concussions and all those precautions. Even Brownies talk about trading him because from a organizational standpoint, can you afford to pay a guy that much and you don't really know if he's going to finish out a game or the season based off of the concussion history? And I don't think anybody wants that contract. And then John Johnson has never fit in. Like all the pieces that are around them, and then you don't have a first-round pick, it's just kind of shaky to me. But I do believe it. I do think that Watson is really good. I don't think any of them dudes are – all the other teams are scary because they all come in from different points of turmoil, and I think their foundation isn't as strong. That doesn't mean that all those teams can't do some crazy stuff in the offseason, but that's not really in – if you look at our division, that's not in our nature. Like you think that any of the teams going to go out and sound like a big-time – like Kenny Pickett is the quarterback. Like Steelers not about to go sign like the biggest free agent.
It's not going to be that Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun that they were talking about.
They don't historically, they don't pay guys like that. They pay Minka because there's nobody else to pay. And I thought that the contract that they gave him is a little crazy, but I mean, there's no, look at their roster. Who else do they have to pay? So, I don't know.
I know that was long. Another super chat from my man Diddy. He says free Zim, and he's telling me to check my DM. I'll check that, Diddy. But telling me to check my DM, we got to check out Midwest Barbecue, Midwest Best Barbecue, and those Uno wings. We got a new intro coming soon, but we're going to give you guys one last listen to the classic that is the Uno Wings commercial.
Wings, Jimmy Stocky with them Uno wings. Uno wings, they tell me that the Uno wings will make you do the grenade. The Uno wings will make you do the grenade. Uno wings, come and get them Uno wings. Uno wings, who they gonna beat them Uno wings, Jimmy Stocky with them Uno wings. Uno wings, they tell me that the Uno wings will make you do the grenade. The Uno wings will make you do the grenade.
Shout out to Midwest Best Barbecue, 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. That Uno Wings is a banger. We're going to have to put that one in the Hall of Fame. We got a new one coming, though. But definitely be sure to check out their barbecue, their ice cream that they have going on there. Tim and Nicole, they just do an amazing job there. They are diehard Bengals fans. You will see them and their staff turning up in this next video. So can't wait to show you guys that one. They actually feature Zim and myself in the lyrics to the song. It's a dope beat. If you haven't seen it yet, it's on my Twitter at New Stripe City. I don't know if the Wincinnati Pod has retweeted it, but check it out there. Yep, the Wincinnati Pod at Wincinnati Pod. Be sure to follow us there as well. Check out that if you want to get a sneak peek of it. All right, Zim. Is it going to be a passing of the torch between Brady and Joe in Tampa? I think it could be, but what are your thoughts on the passing of the torch?
I think Joe gonna put on a show, bro. I really do. I feel like Joe, regardless of what wideouts are there, I think that the corners looking. I took a little bit of a deeper dive into the cornerback play of the Bucs, whatever. It's a little shakier than what I thought. I think Joe Burrow's gonna put on a show. I don't think that they have the rushers to give the Bengals offensive line the problems that I think like a Myles Garrett or somebody would. You know what I mean? So not to say that the Bucs defense isn't stout. I do think that is the better part of their team is their defense. I think Joe's going to put on a show, though. I really do. You look at like the MVP conversations and stuff like that. I don't think he really minds that too much, but it was clear the Browns was a big hurdle for him. I think, the ties with Ohio and stuff like that. That's a thing. And I think I watched it and I kind of understood as the game was going on. Now you're looking at a guy right now that understands this Brown stuff now. Like, remember I was saying like, I don't get it in that. Yeah, I definitely get it now. But aside from that, he does pick different matchups and stuff like that. I think that he kind of rises up for like on that Mahomes one. And I think Brady's going to be no different. I said at the beginning of the season, I thought like it would be a jersey swap. Sign that jersey. I'm hoping. I told Eli, if you get a pick off of Brady, I need that pick. I need you to get that football signed. So let's see if that happens. I think that photo will be crazy. I need Eli Apple to get a pick. I really do. But aside from that, though, for sure, I think Joe Burrow is going to step it up.
Yeah, I've always, been when it comes to like the debate between Manning and Brady, I was always on the Brady side just because I looked at his success in the postseason, him taking less money. And for me, I always kind of thought, not that Joe should take less money. I'm not saying that at all. But I always kind of looked at him as the Tom Brady guy, a guy that puts the team first, a guy that's going to be so detailed when it comes to dissecting the defense, finding those short spots, being super accurate. To me, and I said this a lot, I got a lot of flack where I always kept saying, and I don't shy away from it, I feel like he's the new Tom Brady. I feel like that's what Joe represents right now. A lot of people are going to say, okay, he's got to get the rings first, and that's cool. Let's just take the rings out of it. I feel like Joe is the new Tom Brady, and watching him be able to go against this guy in Tampa, I think that they both want to prove something to each other in a weird way in this matchup, right? I think from Tom Brady's perspective, it's like, I still got it. I can still be the dude. Don't let me get the ball at the end of the game, young buck, because I'm going to try to pull something. And I think Joe's like, I'm the new kid on the block. I'm trying to show you that, I'm the new kid on the block and I'm here to try to take over this league. But I think that there's going to be a lot of mutual respect. I think back to last season in the Super Bowl, hearing Tom Brady speak about Joe Burrow, I thought that was pretty dope, especially when it almost kind of seemed like Joe in an indirect way kind of motivated him to come back. Like seeing Joe play at that level, get there, it kind of reignited that competition, that competitive spark that he kind of had a little bit with Pat Mahomes, and he thought that was the guy with them kind of starting that rivalry. Now there's this new guy, and he hasn't gotten a chance to try to go at him. So I think it's going to be a dope moment. I think, like you said, it's a lot of mutual respect. I do expect that jersey swap. Let's hope that Eli can get you that ball. That would be fire if that happens for sure.
Oh, no, not to give it to me, for itself.
Oh, for itself.
Yeah, for itself. I might ask him for it, though. I did throw it out there, though. I for sure will ask him for it. I don't think
because don't forget about the drama
sure
with that football. Remember that football that was supposed to be Tom Brady's last pass? And there was all of that drama with that.
Hey, look, Joe Burrow, I don't know if y'all seen Colin Cowherd, this past week, not this week, last week, when he had Joe Montana on there. But to me, Joe Burrow is like in that Tom Brady, Joe Montana mode where early in his career, I think he's a lot more mobile than them, but he's in a mode of those are three guys that I think of at the end of a game. It's just super ice cold. I don't know. Every year he might not put up crazy numbers. I don't know. I think he will because he's just so accurate. If they keep these weapons around him, it's just going to be like that, right? But say that they don't. He's just a guy at the end of the game. Like, we see it now, but it's not going to change. Like 10 years from now, 14 years from now, he's going to be winning games very late, like at last drive of the game. It's going to change the face of the league, and more in like the conversations that we're having right now, that the opposition in here asking us about the AFC North and stuff, they're watching happen in time. It's like all the things that they grew up thinking or whatever, like, he's about to be a thorn in your side for the rest of your fandom. Like, it's never going to change. The only way that you can get past this, in my mind, is just to stay away from us. Win some games in the AFC North every single year. If you can win, if we could split, whatever, you're not going to sweep the Bengals. You feel me? But then moving forward, get in the playoffs and stay away from Joe Burrow. Because at the end of the game, he's going to go win it. And he's going to be like that for a lot of people. And there's a lot of backs like Dan Marino's of the world that can be are testaments to like what these Tom Brady figures, these Joe Montana like figures are. It's like they take away championships from other teams, and Joe Burrow is that.
Our man Diddy has a weird stat. No Bengals corner has a pick yet. That's kind of wild. But
not even Cheeto.
It might be coming. You said who?
Not even Cheeto?
Nah, look, because I was like, I thought I remember Cheeto getting one. I just looked it up. Cheeto did not get one either. But not only are the Bengals going to Tampa, you could be going to Tampa this weekend with fans of Cincy. They're going to have the tailgate going on. They're going to have a live DJ, all you can drink, a lot of food. If you are heading down there, which I know a lot of Bengals fans that are, I'm going to personally be there as well in person. So if you want to pull up, chop it up with me in the FLA, have some drinks and some food before we go into the game, I will be there. It's real close to Raymond James Stadium, but if you want to get in, you got to be able to get that Fans of Cincy wristband. And in order to do that, you got to pick your tailgate party experience through Fans of Cincy. So go to fansofcincy.com. You can still get that right now for that tailgate pass. So if you're going and you are looking for somewhere where all of the Bengals fans are going to be at, where I'm going to be at, where a lot of Who Dey Nation will be at, with all you can eat and all you can drink and a DJ in Tampa, you can't beat it. Go to fansofcincy.com. Book that today. It's not too late. The packages are still available right now. Go ahead and get those at fansofcincy.com. So you guys know with our show, you can always catch us every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Zim, we got a special guest. Do you want to tell the people who's coming on Thursday?
We got number 28, Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon will be here on Thursday on the Wincinnati Pod live. So we appreciate your support. Definitely
make sure y'all tell everybody. Make sure y'all tell everybody to follow Wincinnati Pod. Wincinnati Pod. I'm gonna be tweeting from there. Won't be as crazy because I want to keep the integrity of this Wincinnati Pod. But Joe Mixon on Thursday. Tell everybody you know. I don't have my other account to let everybody know. So I'm counting on everybody to let everybody know. Ace, if you see Ace doing, make sure y'all retweet the fact that Joe Mixon is going to come on there on Thursday. Come on here on Thursday. Right here.
Yes,
Wincinnati Pod.
Yes, sir. And we also, if you guys also want to support us, Zim has his shirts and hoodies and all of that at zimhuday.com. So definitely be sure to tap in with him. Tap in with me at newstripecity.com. I just released the Gravedigger hoodie with DJ Reader, so check that design out. But
that was my final tweet. That was my final tweet.
I know, that's crazy. crazy. We
the
appreciate y'all
Gravedigger
holding us down, holding Zim down. We're going to try to get this free Zim movement still going. But like he said, just keep pushing for the culture, making sure that they realize the Bengals are stacking these dubs. And Zim, was there anything you want to say before we get out of here, bro?
Free Zim.
Free Zimmy.
Yes. Hello, world. We got a special show as always. TJ Hushmanzada, Jimmy Chase, Coach Jimmy Burrow.
Time to be a Bengals
How do you
fan.
balance being a professional athlete and family obligation?
These are top 5 Bengals of all time.
All time?
That shocked the world.